Hello, I am Pastor Horace Douty in Lexington, Virginia, and each Sunday morning I bring you a Bible meditation by way of YouTube, and I encourage you to subscribe to Horace Douty, D-O-U-T-Y, YouTube, and to share these meditations with your family and your friends. I appreciate that. Today, the title is Gracious Goodness. When I was a child, I quickly learned that epithets were not allowed around our home. If I really got excited, I was sometimes permitted to say, goodness gracious. Today, I want to consider reversing those two words and think about goodness which goes beyond the norm and is characterized by graciousness. Our society is in danger of losing the art of gracious conversation, especially in politics. We tend to celebrate the person who can quickly cut down the opponent with vicious and scathing words. Rarely do we observe the magic lubrication of graciousness, and I wonder why. The Bible is remarkably clear and consistent. We are ordered to be hospitable and to offer friendship, even to strangers. When Jesus spoke of separating the sheep from the goats at the Last Judgment, he included the ancient maxim, I was a stranger and you took me in. That is a virtue. You are to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. These are ancient and proven rules of goodness. If your neighbor disagrees with you on politics or religion or any other contentious subject, you must remember that neighbor is also a fellow human being. Treat him or her with respect. Your religion, your Christian religion, demands it. It's in the Bible. Let's go one step further and add one more ingredient to goodness. Let's add graciousness. A story from the Old Testament gives a good example of gracious goodness. Jeremiah, an exceptionally forceful preacher, crossed the line into politics and got in trouble. He publicly insisted that the government was not on the right track. And those in power resented Jeremiah so much they had him tied to the public whipping post and beaten nearly to death. And then they threw him into an almost empty cistern where he sank painfully into the mud, waiting for slow starvation and death. But an Ethiopian slave, a black man in the king's service, entered the story. His name is Ebed-Melech. He begged the king for permission to help out that helpless preacher, and the king agreed, and even assigned 3 soldiers to help Ebed-Melech. And listen to the conclusion. Ebed-Melech went to the palace and took some cast-off clothes from the wardrobe and let them down with ropes into the pit. Ebed-Melech instructed Jeremiah to stuff the fabric under his arms so as to ease the ropes, and then he and his men pulled the battered preacher to safety. Notice how God uses all sorts of people as his agents for goodness. Think about the first human transplant on planet Earth. It was the heart of a Negro placed in a Jewish recipient by a white Gentile surgeon whose first name is Christian. And now come back to Ebed-Melech. He resolved to exercise goodness and to save a notable life, but he went beyond mere goodness. Instead of hauling Jeremiah out with stiff and chafing ropes, he added comfort. He provided cushioning to soften the rescue. There, is gracious goodness. You are a Christian, or many of you are, a person who takes Christ seriously. You are obligated to obey the commandments and to lead an ethical life, but that's not all. You are to go beyond the letter of the law. You are to do good, but also add graciousness to your kindness. Gracious goodness is not unusual in our world. I regularly visit nursing homes where every type of suffering is right there, visible, and often I see an employee go far beyond the call of duty and add affection. With gentle words and loving touches, they give more than goodness and healing. They give graciousness. And some volunteers, I've seen this happen several times, choose to stay after the shift has ended and sit with a dying patient throughout the long night. And there is your undeniable example of being Christian, a gracious Christian. Our Bible orders you to be kind to one another and tender-hearted, forgiving, just as God forgives you. Be aware that there are brave souls out there around you dealing with pain and tragedy. You may be fighting your own battle as well. Most people keep the battle out of sight within themselves, and that too has some graciousness about it. You don't want to wave a flag and call attention to your problems. Many times you're too reluctant to admit trouble, and as a result you may suffer more than necessary. It is certainly gracious to reach out and lift up the distressed person. But the other side of the coin is when you allow someone else to reach out and lift you up, it can be a blessing to that generous person. Graciousness works in both directions. The Hindu poet Tagore was extremely annoyed one day when his servant did not arrive on time. And as the day wore on, Tagore became more and more angry. And at midday, the servant finally made his appearance and proceeded to go about his work as usual. Tagore watched with mounting rage and then finally exploded, "Drop everything and get out. You're fired." The man stood quietly for a moment and then said with solemn dignity, "My little daughter, my only child, died last night." Tagore the poet went out and wept bitterly both for himself and his grieving employee. Be kind. That person may be struggling with an invisible battle, and that person is a child of God just like you. Be kind. There are people that you know. You may not have another opportunity to show kindness. Don't waste it. Why be kind? Because it works. It brings joy. If you can be tender-hearted, forgiving others as God forgives you, your life will be more fun, more enjoyable on this earth. Jesus said, "A new commandment, new I give you, that you love one another. I've told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be abundant." Don't forget, God your Father wants you to enjoy happiness. That's what abundant life is. It's why he furnished so many rules for happy living. It's why Jesus came to earth and he said so. Do good. Do not return evil with evil, but overcome evil with good. Add graciousness to your goodness for God's sake and for yours. Amen, and God bless you.